It was difficult for me. I was calling the SME center every other week just to understand, what kind of grants do I get, right? There are bad months, right? And then like dry months, like 3-4 months ago. Then I kept asking myself, like, why did I even start Otterhalf?
As a business owner, what keeps you up at night?
I've actually become the very person that I think I would scold if I was still working for people and I'm the manager.
In this episode, we're looking at the journey of growth from doing it alone to growing your team, the differences being an employee and then an employer, how you get your first clients. And we've got some awesome marketing tips for you at the end of the podcast as well. So make sure you stay tuned. In this particular episode, we've got Cassandra Ong in the studio today. She's the founder of Otterhalf, a fractional marketing agency specializing in the growth of B2B2C and D2C or DTC tech firms, from post-product market fit to Series B. Now, it's a bit of a mouthful, so she's going to have to explain that to you because I'm too dumb to understand that. So, Cass, please tell us a little bit more about Otterhalf and yourself.
Thank you for having me here today, Edric. I really appreciate it. Yes, it was quite a mouthful, but let me just break it down a little bit. So I'm Cass, Cassandra in full, and I'm the founder of Otterhalf. So Otterhalf is basically a marketing agency that specializes in growing tech companies. Our main service that we offer is operating as businesses' fractional marketing team. And what fractional marketing teams is about is really experienced part-time marketing team. So I've been a marketer and as well as a partnership specialist all my life. With me, I come with 12 plus years of experience in growing and leading marketing teams, partnerships teams in tech companies, like, the likes of like Cho, Foodpanda, TripAdvisor, just to name a few.
Well, I know. Please don't get caught up in the lights and everything over here at Poddster. Okay, as you know, just to let you all know, whoever is watching or listening to this, Cass was not prepared to come into the studio of this kind of a setting. Okay, she thought, it's just gonna be an online thing. I'm like, yep, sure. Okay, so ambushed. Okay, I want to backtrack a little bit about your personal journey Now, the idea here is that you founded Otterhalf, and you've been in the marketing industry for a long time now, but you were always on the client side. You were never part of the agency. Looking back at when you were an employee, what do you think you picked up or the skills you learned so that you could start Otterhalf up?
I'll probably slice and dice it into different parts of it, right? I think the first one is my expertise, right? I can say for sure, if I were to start a business 12 years ago, I'll be so rusty and I'll probably be out of job. The business will probably be out of business very, very soon. But for me, having that experience, understanding what worked and what didn't, as much as I learn a lot on my job, I learn what to do. I also learn what not to do based on, the marketing campaigns, initiatives that I've done previously. So I guess expertise-wise, I'm in a better position to be able to probably mentor, guide, and even understand what is good. What does good look like? I think the other bit is has got to do with people. And I guess the journey being an employee of corporations has made me realize that there are managers that are suited for me, right? There are managers that are not suited for me. Likewise, right? There are people who love reporting to me. There are people who probably do not like it that much. I hope to think otherwise. But that being said, I guess I learned about how to manage people, how to mentor people, really treat them as an asset. Because I've seen, I've been in so many corporations, right, throughout my career. I've seen once again what good looks like, and also what management style that I actually didn't really appreciate, but it might be applicable for other people, right? The last one is actually probably related to people is culture. I've seen how good culture made people really look forward to coming to work. And I took bits and pieces. I don't have a sure, what is that called?
A sure win, it's like 100%.
I don't have a formula. Correct. I don't have a 包家 or like sure 100% formula on like what culture should look like. But at least I understand what is good and what is not great. And then I kind of put it, all the learnings that I have, whether it's expertise, people, or even culture, I I just hopefully get all the best pieces of it and launch Otterhalf with that.
That being said, right, would you actually recommend people to actually get corporate experience before they actually start up their own business?
To be honest, I've never ever thought in my wildest dreams that, I'll be a business owner. So I've always, a bit traditional lah, but I've always thought that, I go to a university, I land myself a good job, and then I'll just be in a corporate, be in an MNC and learn from people there.
So conventional.
Yeah, super conventional. Now I feel a bit embarrassed. Okay, but anyway, even though actually I came from a family of business owners, my dad is a business owner, my sister as well, my brothers as well.
Oh, tell me more. What do they do?
So my dad is a service provider for, people who come to Singapore. They do import and export products. They need permits, right? So he works with the government to issue those permits, but he is a business owner offering that service. My sister is she actually teaches piano. She also sells piano. She owns a piano studio. Yeah. And my brothers, one of them is a mini mart owner.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other one does dabble a little bit on real estate, hospitality, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I came from a family of business owner, but I would say they are generally small businesses. But I've never ever thought that, I would be a business owner myself until circumstance happened, and I just thought, okay, maybe this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, when it comes to, whether or not you should get the corporate experience, I mean, the great thing is that for you, you've got mentorship at home almost. You've got an encyclopedia or sorry, there's no such thing as an encyclopedia anymore. I apologize, for the people, the younger folks.
Is there no?
Well, for those who are younger, okay, they probably don't know what an encyclopedia is. So yeah, but you've got a wealth of knowledge at home. You've got an entire support structure at home. That's great. So not everybody has that. So I think that the challenge here is it's time and experience, right? If you're working for somebody, you're being paid to learn. But the smart thing I feel is that if you already wanted to start your business, leverage on that to learn what you need to learn and then go and start, right? And at the same time, it helps you to raise capital. Right, which is your own savings. But if you jump straight into it, then man, it's a pretty rough ride because you don't know admin, you have no network, you've just got ideas and energy and youth on your side, right? Unless you're like me, starting a business at 40 years old with no energy, right? And no money either. So that's a tricky thing, a story for another day. So when it comes to you starting up your own business, I have to ask, with everything that you've learned from work and from home, what was the thing that you were like least prepared for?
Sales.
Yes,
like I didn't know. Okay, and again, because
debunk this myth right now. Sales and marketing go together.
Sales.
So technically, sales should understand marketing. Marketing should understand sales.
Technically, wait, is that a myth? Actually, to me, it is true. It is true. But the thing is, as a marketer, and I've done marketing my whole life, right? I actually didn't know the nitty-gritty details of doing sales. And I thought that it would come naturally. But of course it didn't. It was difficult for me. I had to learn from scratch. And in fact, after, starting Otterhalf and having done sales for like close to 1.5 years already, I went back to every every salesperson that I worked with previously, and I said, I'm so sorry, I didn't treat you very well last time. I know, every time you try your best to get a deal from a restaurant, you say Cass is the best already. Then because I was the marketing head, right? Then I'm like, no, I need better one, right? Oh my God. So I feel like I didn't know better. So I'm like, I'm so sorry, But anyway, that being said, for me, actually getting sales and the whole process of getting sales, it was very different and difficult for me. Maybe because I never flexed that muscle before. So a lot of it is really talking to very good, salespeople that I know have been very experienced, and then after that, try and error, experiment. Really getting the sales, I think it's tough one. It's a tough one. The rest, I felt, because I was previously also hiring managers, right, of the companies that I was at. So I know a little bit of admin, I know a little bit of HR. In fact, I actually majored in HR when I was in university. I know a little bit of finance because I also had to do budgeting and stuff as a marketer. But sales really puts me off guard.
Wow, that's really interesting, and thank you so much for sharing that, because it's very interesting that we talk to everybody, right, with so many different backgrounds, all walks of life. There are some that come from the research background. There are some who come from an administrative background. Like there was once I was in a previous episode, we had a chat with Julian, the CEO and founder of Sleek. I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with them as a platform, and you know, he himself also, he was not prepared for many other things, you know, but that was because he had to learn from his first startup in order for him to be able to develop Sleek to what it is today. It's really cool that you're saying that it needs to flex that muscle. As you've developed this along the way, and you're a couple of years into the business now, how many new muscles are you discovering to flex then?
I guess people, you know, making sure that, you know, they are happy, contented, and yet they are still performing. That is a evergreen muscle that I always have to flex.
Yeah, true. And that being said, right, I think there's a big difference between working for somebody and flexing that muscle versus you owning the company and flexing that muscle. Do you think you'll be able to break down that difference for me?
What I realize as an employee, right, is that it's very stable, right? You know, you get a paycheck every month and you have a lot of people to work with to do the job together. It's like a teamwork, right? Now, what is different is, I guess, being a founder of Otterhalf, and because being fairly new, 1 year plus into the business, majority of the clients, when they work with Otterhalf, they actually work with me. And the thing is, I'm still trying to build my credibility, credentials, portfolio. So I always would want to ensure that I'm on top of things, right? I really hope that there's very little margin or even no margin for error. And the best way to do it is, of course, to review everything. But at the same time, you've got no time. You got no time, right? And that's when you have people and you trust them to be able to delegate to them to do their job well. To be honest, till today, I'm still facing challenge, right? In terms of, you know, delegating, because it's been my baby for like 1 year plus. I've always been on top of things. And then suddenly, you know, I have to relinquish that control.
Yeah.
And then there's also two trains of thoughts, right? Like, do you actually trust 100% first until, you know, your people does something and then you take back that 100%? Or should you not give 100% first, and then after that, once they start to gain your trust, right, and then you start to give them 100%?
So what's your take on that then?
I have a very different take, to be honest. When I was an employee and now I'm an employer. Employee, I always 100% trust. Worked out 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, like in as an employee, as an employee, when I hire people and everything like that, sometimes it's really okay. Like I can leave them from day one. Sometimes it's really not okay. But then as an employer, right, I take the other side of things, where when you join, I probably give you 20 or 30% of my trust, right? And then after that, I start to relinquish. I start to, you know, give you even more trust. But that being said, it's really tough because now you're in a very different business already, right? This is my business, and as much as I would really love to empower people, and when I say, I really don't say, and I really want to do it, right? Sometimes they really need to see what does good look like, and we'll start from shadowing already, and then after that, if they are already up to that par, then that's when, you know, they can take it from there, .
Yeah, so you've got your own management trainee program in that sense.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it is difficult. It is a tough balance. It is.
I understand. I can completely understand, because there's this whole thing of, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, right? That's because you have it in your own image. But to be able to let it go and then pass it to somebody else and go, okay, this is kind of the image, go spruce it up, right? It's a very difficult thing to do, because you know that won't be exactly what you want, but somehow you have to kind of accept that, okay, does it tick all the boxes and then go, okay, this might not be what I see or what I have visualized exactly, but it's something that I've just got to let it go. Because at the end of the day, right, it's the client who decides.
Whether it's good or not,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
It's their that's the reality, ma. It's based on their perception, ma.
Correct.
Right. So I found that to be very, very difficult as well, to let go and let other people run the show. But I also have to remember that, oh, actually their skills are much better than mine. Certain technical skills and everything, they're so much better. So I should take their advice and do it. And it's so difficult to do. I completely understand.
It is. I mean, I've actually become the very person that I think I would scold if I was still working for people and I'm the manager.
So I'm assuming that you have no mirrors in your office. Not allowed to scold yourself. Yeah, then I want to go back to what you mentioned about doing sales and all that, right? When you first start out, you have nothing, right? You've only got your name, you've only got some connections. But how do you get your first client? Or at least what was that like for you?
I mean, the good thing about, coming out, being experienced, coming out is that you have really built a network of connections, friends that probably worked with you before or haven't worked with you before but want to work with you. And fortunately, my first few clients were friends who wanted to support. And that's why I say, okay, so actually my first year for sales, okay, not the other aspects of the business, for sales, it was quite good for me. But it's the second year onwards that I really use up all my social credit already, right? And then I'm like, oh God, I need to do sales. Okay, but anyway, back to your question about the first client. So in fact, I actually got my first client even before I launched Otterhalf.
Ooh.
For me, it was okay, since I got a client, I want to do something. No harm, right? I've got people who do it. I'm like, okay, let's try for 6 months, right? And then 6 months become 1 year, 1 year become now I'm at the 1.5 year mark. So for the first client, to me it was really because of friends of friends, referral. My first 10 clients are in fact friends of friends, referral.
For those who don't exactly have that support coming in or that luck, I would say, what's your take on giving freebies, right, to build your portfolio?
Okay, so I mean, being in the agency space, I know of people who started out giving free work and now they have built a portfolio and they're doing generally quite well. But for me at least, I would only do pro bono provided it's very in line with my purpose. It's very in line with what we want to achieve, right? So I think for us, for Otterhalf, our purpose is, or our belief is that businesses have the power to contribute to a better world. And in fact, we do pro bono work for early stage NGOs. And in fact, I do also provide consulting or open my office hours to like VCs, accelerators, and they have startups there. So back to free work, unless they are very in line with our own business or our company's purpose or belief, it's not something that I would generally provide. Yeah. If anything, and they say has no budget, I really cannot do, then I'll try to scope down our deliverables to meet the budget.
Okay, so you won't say no completely.
No I won't say no Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good point. I mean, for those who are starting up, right, I think it's really useful to hear this because a lot of the times you'll be faced with like, hey, can you do this for free? Now, there's a big difference between like really just doing it for free per se, right? And also knowing that, okay, is there a strategic advantage? Is this a strategic move that can help you get the foot in the door to get to know people? What's the opportunity here and what's your opportunity cost? So that's the trickiest part that personally I've always found. Like, okay, everybody wants you to do free work. Let's put it this way, okay? Because why? If your work is good, it will speak for itself. And if you get it free, man, it's even better, right? But when do you actually pull the plug and go, okay, look, I really can't do this for free? Because of course you don't say this to the clients, which is there's no upside for me. How do you measure something like that though? Is it based on a dollar or is it based on a gut feel? How do you measure the upside for you lah?
I guess it goes back to what do you want to be perceived, or what sort of image do you want to have, or does your company want to have, right? So for us, for Otterhalf, because of where I came from in my background, I was in food tech and travel tech. Somehow or rather, my team actually, some of them came from fintech. So we actually have clients across food tech, travel tech, fintech, right? So, and because of our purpose and our belief, we always want to support sustainability. We want to support NGOs, nonprofits. So at the end of the day, how I measure is, does this client ladder up to any of this that we really can deliver value for? And because we are we're decent in it, right? So the amount of time that we take to provide value for them is minimal compared to maybe an entirely new business or in a new industry that we're not very familiar with, and we still have to dive into research about them. Yeah. But that being said, we wouldn't provide free work unless it's in line with our purpose and in line with the businesses or industries that we can deliver value for.
Now, since we're on the topic of money, you didn't come from an agency background. You were actually in the client side, and you decided to jump into agency.
Yeah.
Was the money very different when you saw it from the other perspective?
Okay, so I'm coming from a person who has never ever worked in an agency, and I founded an agency. Okay, and I founded from scratch. Okay, so of course the money is different. I mean, I can safely say that when I started, even till today, sometimes I'm not even getting 10 to 15% of what I was getting.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Reality, right?
that's the reality.
Yeah, but how do you handle dry months? I have to ask this. This is the sucky part of things that nobody really talks about. How do you handle your dry months?
Most of my people are on a part-time basis or freelance basis. I have the ability to dial up and dial down their hours. So that flexibility helped me. So
see.
during dry months, they will know that, and because I will probably give them preamp, they'll know that, okay, this particular month, in fact, my dry month was like maybe 3-4 months ago. Yeah. So this particular few months, really very little clients. Clients are all coming after that. This 2 months, can you dial down your number of hours? Because I don't have a full-time contract with them, they'll be very flexible. They'll be like, okay, yeah, sure. Understand what your situation is.
Okay. I mean, is this part of your whole cash flow management strategy?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
is.
What are the I don't know, could you give me a framework of how you actually see cash flow? Because I suck at money.
I have a budgeting sheet because my husband is a finance/accounting/investment person. So he's like my fractional CFO, by the way.
He gets paid with love.
Yes, a lot of love, huh? Yeah, so some days, there's one day that I wanted to really look at my cash flow. I wanted to understand what's my run rate or runway. And I just did up the numbers, right? And I said, okay, does this number look good to me? I'm not sure because I've never been doing this before, right? So I'm like, so this number of months, is it good or not? And then after that, I went to my husband, hey, can you have a look at my financial statement and see, does it make sense? Then he's like, yeah, it's okay. Then I'm like, okay. But I think over time, as I speak to other startups or even agency founders, then I kind of have an understanding, right, of what a good runway is. Yeah, so I think that's number one. And how to even determine that runway is, for me, every single month, I diligently, put in my expenses. I diligently look at my revenue, and then I can, from there, and of course, pipeline, right? What's the potential businesses that will probably work with us in the next few months? Then I do a forecast. And also understanding like, okay, if I continue spending what I'm spending today and earning what I'm earning today, okay, sometimes I don't even look at the earn. If I continue spending what I'm spending today for the next few months, how does that look like? Yeah. And then after that, you can project already. So from there, I know I have to have people who are flexible because I can't possibly hire full-timers. Like, in fact, including myself, I have two full-timers. I have another full-timer as well. So that's already like operating cost, right? Yeah. And I also hire interns, right? And again, that is also operating cost.
Yes.
So that's it. Once I have that view, it is very clear to me what I should be doing. In fact, for my first 1 year, most of my people were on profit sharing model because once again, I needed to be variable, right? First, after my 13 or 14 month, then I started having full-timer, interns and stuff like that. Then that's when I start to look at my finance even more like really scrutinize my finance so that, I at least have some money, that I can that I can pay my people lah in the case anything happen.
And any buffer for you to roll to the next month.
Exactly.
And then you've got special things here and there. I mean, the weirdest thing is that, when we talk about our own personal finance, right? I really wish that I learned how to manage my personal finance like how I manage business finance.
Yeah.
With personal finance, you're a little bit more relax. It's like 5 cent, 10 cent things, a few dollars. Okay, let's go for $100 meal. Business is like $100. Where are you gonna get from? You tell me.
Yeah.
Why are you spending this $100? Huh? You are unreasonable to yourself, but yet you are overly nice to yourself when it comes to your own wallet. It's very strange, isn't it?
I actually think that after I started Otterhalf and understanding the finances behind it, right? Because Otterhalf had a grant, right? 10K grant from the government, right? Under the SMU IRE program. And when I got the 10K grant, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much money, That was something that I would say it kind of changed my mindset in terms of business finance, because if it was me in corporate, right? Looking at a 10K grant coming into the business is like, oh, okay. You wouldn't even think that it's
because
it's
it doesn't have an impact. You're just thinking it's just company money. It's within the budget. It's all there. So I'll just use it.
Yeah. But in fact, I also think that because I started out Otterhalf, it helps me think about my own personal finance.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I realize, because on days that I earn really a little on months lah, right? Then that's when I have to manage my own personal finance. And I can no longer eat at like $100 places already.
Yeah.
In fact, I have to cut down my own habits, and I generally, don't really eat at fancy places. So like last week when my husband said, hey, should we go for fine dining? I'm like, oh my God, it's been a year since I went for any fine dining, really.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it has been a year. And I was so excited. But that being said, it helped me think about my own finance as well, and also make me realize I don't need a lot.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, I don't need a lot to live.
Yeah, which is very true lah. I mean, but I need to pick your brain about the grant you were talking about earlier on, right? Okay, the best thing about Singapore is that there's a ton of grants to take from. The worst thing about it is because there's a ton of grants to take from, and I don't know where to start. So where would you point somebody in the right direction to just get started looking for grants?
Okay, so if they just started, honestly, it's difficult. In fact, it was difficult for me. I was calling the SME center every other week just to understand, what kind of grants do I get, right? And most of the time, they need you to be at least a year in operation.
I'm coming for you, SME center.
A year in operation. But then for me, I think I was quite lucky because for me, I was a SMU alumni, and then they have a SMU startup accelerator, right? That is also open to non-SMU alumni.
Okay. I was about to make a face like, SMU alumni, la-di-da, right?
No. There's actually a lot of startup founders went for that program, even though they are not alumni.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think luckily I managed to get that grant. So that was really by sheer luck / chance. I talked to the program manager, and then she's like, Cass, you know what? Do you want to apply for it? I'm like, okay, I apply lor.
We're on to some of the tough questions here. Okay. And I want to ask you, as a business owner, or be it, when it comes to Otterhalf or anything along those lines, what keeps you up at night, and how do you deal with it?
There are bad months, right? And then like dry months, like 3-4 months ago, then I kept asking myself, like, what is driving me, and every time it just points me to this one thing, like, why did I even start? Like, why did I even start Otterhalf? My client, perhaps me being a mom to my kids, right? Because sometimes I'll be so into the work that I'll do things that is not very nice to them.
I see. Yeah, it's true lah. I mean, parenting is not easy lah. I mean, one of the trickiest part is also handling the challenges at home, right? Where especially when you're running your own business. How do you handle your time management though? most people will tell me one word: badly.
I don't think I've done it very well either. But I'm trying. I'm making baby steps. Like last time.
Okay. I heard you say I'm making babies. I'm like, oh,
Baby steps.
Okay,
making progress.
Making progress, huh?
Yeah. So I think my first few months is crazy lah. I was really present but not present. Right. But then after that, my husband, you realize that my husband played quite a big part in my life. My husband say, taking you out is like taking a teenager out. You're always on your phone, right? Then I'm like, okay, yes, because there's truth to it. That's why it hurts, right?
Ouch.
Then that's why I start to really put aside my phone, especially on the weekends. Yeah, so weekends are really family time lah. Yeah, and I think I got better. But sometimes, there's inspiration, right? You want to do something, then you got inspiration, then you write down, right?
Yeah.
So then there are those times I'll do it when, they're sleeping or they're playing in the playground and stuff like that. Then I'll just, try to put it during pockets of time that they are not available for me.
Okay. Now, I want to pick your brain since you're a marketing guru. Okay. Yeah, I know. Look at that face. Now, so give us some marketing tips, for different stages of business ownership or size. I think this is something that would be very, very relevant to the audience. So let's just start with some actionable tips. Let's start from early stage.
Okay. Just in case why, you think that Edric is asking these questions, because I actually did have in my career, I actually joined Foodpanda when they were pre-Series A, so early stage, Chope growth stage, and then TripAdvisor mature stage. So my tips would really be what I experienced, during those stages. So answering your question, Edric, I think for early stage, the main thing is really to build brand awareness, right? Like, people don't know about you, but you want people to know about you, right? What I thought was very good for Foodpanda, at least when I was there, pre-Series A, is that we were establishing partnerships with companies. And I guess for some of them, for some of you who actually probably don't know that Foodpanda was previously under the Rocket Internet Group. So we were then sister company of Zalora and Lazada. So we were really a network that support each other, right? So my advice for early stage, the thing is you have very limited resources, but yet you want to increase your reach, right? Double your reach or triple your reach. The best way is to tap onto your network, tap onto the partners that you want to work with, and just try to do something, because that's the best, I would say, for me lah, the most efficient use of my resources then, and it drove me results. So that is early stage. And then for growth stage, that was during my time at Chope. So Chope then already established themselves as the reservations platform in Singapore, right? So we kind of also know what will work, what kind of campaigns work, because they experimented enough in the early stage to know what kind of campaigns work, what campaigns didn't work. My advice is, instead of focusing so much in execution, focus into looking at the data and looking and making and how you usually will optimize your own ads and stuff like that. Do it for your campaigns. Do it for all your channels, not only for ads. And then see whether you are able to double down on even more campaigns. Like maybe in the early stage you were doing like one campaign every year or two campaigns every year, like a big one. Maybe in the growth stage, if you can afford to do one every quarter or one every 2 months, right? We can play the volume game here lah, right? And it's only by doing, then you look into the data, then you learn and you do better. Or, for those that didn't really work out, then you don't do, right? So that would be my advice for a growth stage, right? Just look into your data and see how you can optimize. And not only for ads, because I know a lot of companies just look at ads, but it's across all your channels, okay? And then for mature stage, that was where I was in TripAdvisor, right? I mean, the thing about TripAdvisor is when I was there, I was also there during COVID. So I didn't really have much budget to play, right? Even though I was in the marketing team. But the good thing about, I guess, that is and because COVID affected the entire travel industry, we leverage during that period of time, we leverage on what we did best, like user-generated content. And we just really drive out, or launch campaigns that is aligned to our strengths. So maybe from that, an advice would be, what by then you will know why are you gaining market share, or there's a reason why people are using you, right? And what is your strength? How can you work on it and do something along the marketing lines, or maybe a campaign and stuff like that, and regular campaigns probably, and get people to, and be top of mind on people's of your consumer.
Okay. Is there a framework of partnerships that you tend to use? It sounds like it's a regular theme when it comes to your business and also your work.
I forged strategic partnerships for my clients, all the way from developing the program, all the way to contract sign stage, where I hand it over to them to execute. So in terms of framework, right? I mean, I did have one founder coming to me previously. He was like, Cass, the partnerships that you have established is big, right? Previously at Chope, I was managing handling partnerships with the likes of Capital Land, Visa. But for a startup like ours, that the founder came from a startup, how do I even get to these people, right? There are two parts to partnerships that I looked at. One is, there's sometimes we limit our belief to think that we cannot get this partner. And actually that is 50% of you not being able to get them if you think that way, right? Because sometimes it takes a lot to, you're a small player, you go to a big organization, you'll be like, oh yeah, why would they want to work with me? And I actually encountered that with some of my team members who were doing partnerships. They're like, Cass, we are so small. Why would people want to work with me? So I guess that limiting self-belief, right, of you not being able to get them, try to get it out of your system. So that is really interpersonal already, right? Because the moment you get it out of your system, that's when you're able to then show value. Even if they're big, there must be a reason why they want to talk to you. Is there value? Is there something that they want, their company's goal, that we can provide, right? And we can do something together, right? So I guess the first part will be more mental. You have to conquer your own mental mindset, because I did it for my team. And then the other bit is, how can we create value for the partners that we are working with? Like, why there must be a reason why they are even thinking of working with you, or even wanting to have that first meeting with you, right? I think as long as you're able to deliver value, it's something that, it shouldn't go too far off in terms of establishing a partnership with them.
Yeah, I love that, because you have to be very unabashed about highlighting, right, what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody can bring, like, say, for example, you go for a potluck. Okay. You bring a baked pasta, I bring a baked pasta. But the difference here is that my baked pasta is better than your baked pasta. So that's what, So my point here is that we all have similar things to an extent, but you have to be able to justify why yours is better and be firm about it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that would definitely help that partnership to get started in the first place. So great piece over there. Now, again, this topic is always about employer wellness. Now, we've talked a little bit about your time management, the ability to focus, having a support group around you as well. Well, inadvertently, of course, you have your support group in your family, your husband, so on and so forth. What's one thing that keeps you alive, I would say, in the business?
Just making sure that I know what I want to achieve at the end of the day. Like, what is my why?
Do you do that every day?
On bad days, I remind myself. On good days, I don't need to do anything. I'll be like, oh, everything is good. Right? Like, there's no reason why I need to, right? But it's bad. This is those bad days that you feel like, oh, why am I doing this? And I mean, I'm sure founders would be able to relate, because there'll be so many of those days, right? Not every day is like unicorns and magic and whatever, right? So yes, on bad days, I remind myself, like, why am I doing this? Yeah, and like, am I actually, and whether it's actually in line with my own values lah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that, Cass. Now, before we end off the podcast, there's always a quick fire round that we always do.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's the epic question. There's 10 questions, just rapid fire. Give me your answers as quickly as you can. All right.
Hey, this is a surprise. This is a surprise. Okay, go on.
Are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So, Cass and the epic questionnaire, 10 questions with Cassandra. Now, question one word that you love the most.
Laugh.
One word you dislike the most.
Angry.
If you could have a conversation with one person, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, who would that be?
Oh, Lee Kuan Yew.
Oh, really? Okay. What do you say to yourself in the mirror every morning?
Better wash up quick because the kids gotta go to school.
Name one superpower that you'd like to have.
Teleporting.
Why? Why teleporting?
I mean, it saves me a lot of time.
Favorite dish to eat?
Beefsteak.
Favorite travel spot or the next travel spot you want to go to?
I love Paris.
Something in the arts that you've always wanted to do but yet to do so. Paint, do pottery.
Oh yeah, actually you're right. Pottery, because I've always been supporting my friends who are doing pottery.
What does retirement look like to you?
To be able to have financial freedom. Like I don't need to worry about finances, and I just can do whatever I want and still get passive income.
How do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy?
The person that made me feel good after I talked to her.
Wonderful. Okay, that's 10 questions with Cass. And last but not least, people are going to want to reach out to you. So I think it's this camera is yours. Feel free, let them know how they can reach you.
Okay, thank you so much. So if you want to reach out to me, you can firstly head over to otterhalf.co. It's www.otterhalf.co to check out, what we do. I think secondly, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect. And yes, that's it.
Okay, for those who are interested in connecting with Cassandra as well as going to Otterhalf, links will be in the description. And thank you once again for being part of the podcast, Cass. Appreciate it. And to you who are listening or watching this, thank you so much for being part of the podcast as well. We'll see you in the next episode of the Epic Podcast. See you, everyone. Say bye.
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 Bye.